Would any of you advise a client to defy a federal court order?
No.
None of you would? How about you, Professor?
I mean, under most circumstances, we follow the government and private parties follow court orders. I suppose it's not, I would not rule out ever the possibility that in a sufficiently egregious order, there should be some consideration of whether there's a way.
So in some cases,
I think it's a qualified answer,
in
yes.
some cases you would.
In an extremely narrow band of cases, I think it would be considered, yes.
Okay.
This isn't just your average political debate, folks. Senator Kennedy took the floor and delivered a knockout punch, exposing the hypocrisy and sheer ignorance of this so-called expert. The law professor comes in all high and mighty with her elitist liberal viewpoints, thinking she can school a seasoned politician like Kennedy. But little did she know, she was about to be schooled herself. This is a perfect example of why we need more people like Kennedy in office. People who aren't afraid to speak the truth, stand up to these ivory tower intellectuals, and fight for the values that built this country.
Do any of you think that nationwide or universal injunctions are not being abused?
I'm not sure what if I may, Senator, I'm not sure what the time horizon of the question is. I don't think that there could be good faith disagreements about the correctness of some of them, but I have not seen in the last 4 months
Professor, you're
abuse.
smart,
No.
I've read your stuff, and I've read your writings, and I don't want to get bogged down with this, but I have little respect for your opinion because I've read your stuff. When someone is in the White House that you agree with and someone gets a universal injunction against him, you don't like universal injunctions. You called them judges acting like they're politicians in robes and judges looking like crass political actors. But now that President Trump's in the White House, who you dislike, you think that universal injunctions taste like pumpkin pie. So I have to discount what you say because I think you act on your political beliefs. And I worry that that's what you're teaching your kids. So I'll leave you out of that. Do you think nationwide injunctions are being abused?
Certainly, Senator. I think that is.
They're being abused by both sides, aren't they?
Yes, Senator.
Both Republicans and Democrats are forum shopping, aren't they?
Certainly.
Professor, do you disagree with that?
I think both sides are abusing them. I agree.
Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
There are no clean hands here. Now, your suggestion is that when a federal judge issues a nationwide injunction, there should be an automatic stay and an expedited right of appeal. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you disagree with that?
I haven't given enough thought to have a position on it, Senator.
I suspect, Professor, your answer will be it depends on who's president.
No, Senator.
Let me ask you about this. What if we had a rule? I was reading an article the other day. I'm not suggesting it. I just want your opinions. That said, if a president, any president, issues an executive order, let's say, that clearly violates settled Supreme Court precedent, that a federal judge can't issue a nationwide injunction. For example, if a federal a president issued an order that said no one in America has right to counsel any longer, including but not limited to, in a felony case, having the government pay for your lawyer if you can't afford it. That clearly violates settled Gideon v. Wainwright. In that case, a judge has no authority or does have authority to issue a nationwide injunction. But in a case where the law is unclear, a judge should refrain from that. Now, obviously, we'd have to to trust our judges, but we're supposed to be able to trust them anyway. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with that, Senator, because I think universal injunctions transgress the limitations under Article 3, even if the underlying merits are clear.
I happen to agree with you. I don't think there's any basis under Article 3, under Supreme Court precedent, under the English common law for nationwide injunctions. I think politicians have helped judges, and many judges are politicians, to just make it up. And many of them are like Professor Shaw here. If they like the president, they're against nationwide injunctions. If they don't like the president, they're for him. Professor, let me ask you this while I have you. On April 22nd, 2024, you said there are some members of the Supreme Court that are evil. Which justices were you talking about?
I'll take it your word, Senator. I don't recall using that word, but
All right, here's what you said. You were talking about the majority opinion in Muldrow v. City of St. Louis. You said, quote, Justice Kagan, will she be able to control the opinion's future distortion by her evil colleagues? Probably not, end quote. Who were you talking about?
sir, I'm very skeptical. If it's a transcription, it was probably a transcription error. I do not think I said.
No, you said it. Why don't you own up to it? Which you call some of the members of the Supreme Court evil. Now, which ones do you think are evil?
I would have to refresh my recollection. I've been very critical
You're
of some
embarrassed
members of the
that
Supreme
you made
Court.
that statement, aren't you?
I'm
You're an
telling you,
officer
Senator, it
of the
doesn't sound
court.
like something that
You know
I
what
would
I'm
say.
embarrassed at? That you're teaching our kids.
I don't refer to Supreme Court justices as evil
You did,
in
right here,
the classroom,
on
sir.
your podcast, April 22nd, 2024.
Okay, well,
Big as Dallas. And you're an officer of the court, and you're here advising us to be respectful to federal judges, and you say they're evil members of the United States Supreme Court? Gag me with a spoon. You're part of what's the problem in all of this.
What's going on, patriots? If you're a fan of common sense, liberty, and holding these liberal elites accountable, then you're in the right place. Today, we've got something special for you. Senator John Kennedy absolutely destroying a law professor in a debate, using nothing but her own words to turn her argument inside out. Before we dive into it, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a video. We need your support to spread the truth and keep fighting back against the mainstream media and radical left. Let's get into it. This isn't just your average political debate, folks. Senator Kennedy took the floor and delivered a knockout punch, exposing the hypocrisy and sheer ignorance of this so-called expert. The law professor comes in all high and mighty with her elitist liberal viewpoints, thinking she can school a seasoned politician like Kennedy. But little did she know, she was about to be schooled herself. This is a perfect example of why we need more people like Kennedy in office. People who aren't afraid to speak the truth, stand up to these ivory tower intellectuals, and fight for the values that built this country. Now, let's break it down. From the get-go, this law professor thought she had all the answers. She thought she could lecture Senator Kennedy, probably assuming he'd back down or cower to her credentials. But Kennedy, being the sharp, seasoned politician he is, had other plans. He didn't let her get away with her liberal nonsense. One of the key moments in this debate is when she tried to lecture Kennedy on the law and Constitution. As if she, with her elite education, knew better than the people who actually live and breathe the Constitution every single day. Well, Kennedy wasn't having it. He took her own words, her own logic, and flipped them right back at her. He showed how her arguments were riddled with contradictions, and how these so-called experts in academia often have no clue what it's like for the average American. It's an all-too-common theme in this country. These law professors, these academics, these left-wing elites, think they're somehow above the rest of us. They sit in their ivory towers, disconnected from the real struggles of everyday Americans, and they push policies that harm our families, our economy, and our future. Senator Kennedy is the perfect example of someone who's not afraid to call that out, and in this debate, he did it flawlessly. What really stood out to me was the way Kennedy used facts and logic. He didn't get emotional or resort to cheap shots. No, he let the professor's own words be her undoing. And that's exactly what we need more of in politics. People who will speak truth to power, even when that power comes in the form of so-called experts who think they know better than the rest of us. So, what's the takeaway from this epic showdown? First off, it's a reminder that we need more real patriots in politics. People who aren't afraid to challenge these left-wing elites and call out their nonsense. Senator Kennedy is a perfect example of what we need more of in Washington. He's got the courage to stand up for America and fight for the values that make this country great. Let's be real. This is the kind of leadership we need to preserve our nation. We need leaders who understand the Constitution, who have common sense, and who know how to stand up to these so-called experts who are out of touch with the American people. We don't need more ivory tower academics trying to tell us how to live our lives. We need more Senator Kennedys. If you agree with what I'm saying, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more no-nonsense, truth-telling content. We've got to keep fighting for freedom and truth in America, and we need your support to do it. God bless America, and God bless all of you. Thanks for watching, Patriots. Stay strong, stay informed, and let's keep this fight going. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts on the debate. What did you think of Senator Kennedy's performance? Was he right to call out the law professor, or was there something he missed? Let me know, let's talk about it. Until next time, stay conservative, stay loud, and keep fighting for what's right.